I. The illusion of hard work. Let's start with an uncomfortable observation. If effort alone created wealth, the hardest workers on earth would be the richest people alive. Construction workers would own skyscrapers. Farmers would own private jets. Night shift security guards would own the banks they protect. They don't. And that's not disrespectful, that's reality. Some of the most exhausted people in the world are not financially free. So clearly, something deeper is operating. But society gives us a very clean formula. Work harder, earn more, live better. It sounds noble. It sounds fair. It even sounds motivating. The only problem? It's incomplete. Because if hard work automatically led to wealth, burnout would be a financial strategy. Yet many hardworking people remain financially stagnant. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack discipline, but because effort without direction is just motion. Running on a treadmill requires effort too. You sweat. You breathe heavily. You feel productive, but you don't move forward. That's the hidden tension most people never question. We were taught to increase effort. Very few of us were taught to upgrade thinking. Here is the first hidden rule of wealth. Money responds more predictably to mindset than to effort. Effort is physical. Wealth is psychological. Effort uses energy. Mindset directs it. You can work hard with a limited mindset and stay stuck for years. Or you can shift your thinking and make the same effort to produce different results. The real difference isn't who works harder. It's who thinks differently before they start working. 2. The programming phase. How society shapes your money beliefs. Before you ever earned your first salary, someone had already shaped how you think about money. Not intentionally, not maliciously, just systematically. The industrial model of income is simple and efficient. School obedience, job salary. You're rewarded for following instructions. You're praised for stability. You're warned about risk. Ownership? That's dangerous. Leverage? That sounds complicated. Security? Now that sounds responsible. So naturally, most people grow up optimizing for safety instead of scale. The system doesn't train you to think like an owner. It trains you to become a reliable employee. That's not evil. It just has limits. Then comes the emotional conditioning. Money becomes dramatic. You're taught to fear losing it. You feel shame when you don't have enough. And somehow, you're encouraged to feel proud when you spend it visibly. Isn't that interesting? You're afraid to lose money, embarrassed to lack money, and applauded for displaying money. That emotional cocktail creates instability long before adulthood. By the time most people earn consistently, they already have a survival-based money identity. They don't ask, how do I build wealth? They ask, how do I avoid falling behind? And here is the hidden consequence. Most financial behavior isn't strategic. It's protective. People protect what feels familiar, even if it keeps them small. Which brings us to a powerful truth. You cannot outperform the beliefs you unconsciously protect. If you believe wealth is risky, you'll sabotage growth. If you believe money is scarce, you'll act defensively. If you believe people like me don't get rich, you'll prove yourself right. Your income doesn't just reflect effort. It reflects identity. 3. The 3 money mindsets. Not all hardworking people think the same about money. That's why not all hardworking people end up in the same place. There are 3 dominant money mindsets, and effort exists in all of them. The difference is direction. 1. Survival mindset. This mindset wakes up every month asking, how do I pay these bills? The focus is immediate pressure. Rent, food, utilities, emergencies. Risk feels dangerous. Investment feels irresponsible. Anything uncertain feels like a threat. Income is tied strictly to time. If you stop working, money stops. Stress is high. Leverage is low. This mindset isn't lazy, it's defensive. It's designed to protect you, not expand you. But protection alone never builds wealth. 2. Comfort mindset. This one is more subtle. Bills are covered. Income is stable. Life looks fine. But something interesting happens. As income rises, lifestyle rises with it. Better phone, better car, better vacations, better stress, just with nicer packaging. There's short-term satisfaction. Minimal asset building. You're not struggling, but you're not free either. Comfort feels safe, but comfort rarely compounds. 3. Ownership mindset, wealth aligned. This mindset thinks differently. Instead of asking, how much can I earn this month? It asks, how can I build something that earns repeatedly? The focus is leverage, long-term positioning, asset acquisition, strategic, calculated risk. Stress is replaced by structure. Here's the contrast principle. Effort exists in all three. The survival worker is tired. The comfortable professional is busy. The owner is intentional. Same effort, different thinking, dramatically different outcomes. Money doesn't separate people by how hard they work. It separates them by how they think before they work. 4. Why effort alone fails. Let's clear something up. Effort is honorable. But effort alone? It's overrated. Plenty of people are exhausted. Not wealthy, exhausted. A. Effort without direction. Working hard in the wrong model is like rowing a boat with intensity, in circles. You're sweating. You're committed. You're tired. But you're not progressing. If your model is built entirely on trading hours for income, increasing effort just increases fatigue. It doesn't change the structure. Hard work inside a limited system produces limited results. Direction matters more than speed. B. Effort without leverage. Here's a simple test. If you stop working for 3 months, does your income continue? If the answer is no, your effort lacks leverage. There's nothing wrong with earning active income. The problem is depending on it exclusively. When income is tied strictly to your physical presence, wealth hits a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. You can only take so much pressure. Your energy is finite. Wealth, however, requires scalability. Without leverage, effort becomes maintenance, not multiplication. C. Effort without strategy. Busyness is seductive. It feels productive. It looks impressive. It sounds responsible. But being busy and building assets are not the same thing. Busyness creates exhaustion. Strategy creates ownership. Many people fill their calendars, but never build systems. Which brings us to the hidden rule. Wealth multiplies when effort is guided by structured thinking. Effort is fuel. The mindset is the steering wheel. Strategy is the map. Without all three aligned, you're just burning energy, not building freedom. V. How mindset directly influences money flow. Money doesn't randomly flow toward people. It flows toward patterns of thinking. Two people can earn the same salary and end up in completely different financial realities. Not because of luck, but because of mindset. 1. Risk tolerance. Wealth requires calculated exposure to uncertainty. Notice the word calculated. Reckless risk destroys. Avoiding all risk suffocates. If your mindset treats every unknown as danger, you'll stay small to stay safe. But growth lives slightly outside comfort. The question isn't, is this risky? The real question is this intelligently risky? People who build wealth understand that zero risk equals zero expansion. 2. Delayed gratification. This one is less exciting and more powerful. Spending gives immediate dopamine. Investing gives delayed freedom. Most financial decisions are emotional reactions dressed up as logic. I deserve this. I've worked hard. It's not that expensive. Maybe. But wealth often belongs to the person who can wait. The ability to delay gratification isn't about deprivation. It's about priority. Do you want the pleasure now or the power later? 3. Value perception. Here's a subtle but important question. Do you see yourself as an expense or an asset? If you invest in skills, thinking, and growth, you increase your internal value. If you only consume, you slowly depreciate. An asset appreciates. An expense drains. Your mindset determines which one you become. 4. Opportunity recognition. Two people see the same situation. One sees risk. One sees leverage. The opportunity didn't change. The interpretation did. Money doesn't just reward action. It rewards perception. And perception is trained by mindset. 6. Emotional intelligence and wealth. Let's remove the illusion. Money decisions are rarely logical. We like to think we're rational adults making strategic financial moves. In reality, most money decisions are emotional reactions wearing a suit. Fear, ego, insecurity. They sit quietly at the table every time money is involved. Fear whispers, what if it crashes? What if you lose everything? What if this fails? So you sell too early. You avoid investing. You stay smaller than necessary. Ego, on the other hand, is louder. It says, you deserve this. They need to see you winning. Upgrade. Impress. Prove it. So you overspend. You stretch budgets. Your finance appearances. Then there's insecurity, the most expensive emotion of all. Insecurity buys status symbols it can't sustain. It chooses visibility over stability. It chooses applause over assets. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Markets don't punish ignorance as much as they punish emotion. The person who panics loses. The person who shows off leaks money. The person who feels behind spends recklessly. This is why financial maturity has less to do with spreadsheets and more to do with self-awareness. You don't need perfect timing. You need emotional control. Advanced insight. Financial maturity is emotional regulation under pressure. Can you stay calm when others panic? Can you stay disciplined when others celebrate? Can you delay ego for equity? Wealth often belongs to the person who reacts the least, not the loudest. Because money amplifies emotion. If you can't manage your feelings, you won't manage your finances. And that's not about intelligence. It's about control. 7. The shift from worker identity to wealth identity. At some point, the real change is not in your bank account. It's in your identity. Most people grow up with a worker's identity. A worker asks, how much do I earn per month? How stable is my job? How many hours must I trade? There is nothing wrong with working. But if your identity stops there, your income usually does too. The shift begins when you redefine 3 things. A. Redefining income. Income is not just salary. Salary is compensation for presence. Systems are compensation for structure. When you think like a worker, you focus on earning more hours. When you think like a wealth builder, you focus on building systems. Skills, assets, investments, content, equity, things that can generate value beyond your daily effort. One requires attendance. The other requires architecture. B. Redefining security. Many people believe job stability equals security. But jobs can change. Companies restructure. Economies shift. True security is not one paycheck. It is controlled over assets. Security becomes ownership of valuable skills, investments, equity, diversified income streams. Stability feels safe. Control is safer. C. Redefining time. Workers measure time in hours worked. Wealth thinkers measure time in freedom retained. If more money requires more of your life, you're scaling stress, not freedom. The ultimate goal is not to work forever at higher levels of exhaustion. It is to build income that protects your time. Here is the transformation. When identity shifts, financial behavior follows. Change how you see yourself, and money starts responding differently. 8. Practical alignment. Rewiring the money mindset. Understanding mindset is powerful. Rewiring it is transformational. But let's be honest. You don't change financial results by reading one strong sentence and feeling inspired for 12 minutes. You change it through alignment. 1. Audit your beliefs. Before you build wealth, you have to examine what you believe about it. What did you hear about money growing up? Money is hard to get. Rich people are greedy. We're not that kind of family. Be realistic. Those phrases don't disappear. They settle quietly into your identity. And here's the uncomfortable question. Do you genuinely believe wealth is possible for people like you? Because if you don't, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity that challenges that belief. You cannot build what you secretly think you don't deserve. 2. Change the questions. Your financial life improves when your questions mature. Instead of, how do I make money quickly? Ask, how do I increase my value and leverage? Quick money solves pressure. Increased value solves positioning. One is reactive. The other is strategic. The quality of your questions determines the direction of your growth. 3. Build asset-oriented habits. This is where rewiring becomes practical. Stack skills that compound. Choose ownership over endless consumption. Practice long-term planning, even when short-term temptation is loud. Every purchase is a vote. Every habit is a vote. Every decision is a vote for the identity you're building. Wealth doesn't arrive dramatically. It accumulates quietly when your behavior finally matches your ambition. 9. Case study. Same effort, different thinking. Let me introduce you to 2 people. Both are hardworking. Both are disciplined. Both wake up early. 10 years later, their financial lives look completely different. The first is David. David has worked at the same company for a decade. He's reliable. His managers trust him. He rarely complains. Every year, he works harder. Every year, he hopes the raise will finally make things comfortable. His income increases slowly. His expenses increase quietly. His stress remains consistent. He is not lazy. He is not careless. He is operating inside one model. Trade time, get paid. Now meet Tund. Tund wasn't more talented. In fact, at the beginning, he was average. But Tund asked different questions. Instead of only focusing on promotions, he focused on leverage. He built skills outside his job. He invested small amounts consistently. He experimented with side systems that didn't depend entirely on his hours. At first, nothing dramatic happened. For years, progress was almost invisible. But compounding is patient. 10 years later, Tun's income has multiple sources. His stress is lower. His choices are wider. Here's the important part. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a secret connection. It was thinking patterns. David optimized effort inside a fixed structure. Tund optimized the structure before increasing effort. Same decade, same economy, same number of hours in a day, different mindset, and money responded accordingly. Closing. The core hidden rule restated. Let's cut through the noise. Money does not reward exhaustion. Sweat alone does not create wealth. Late nights, endless overtime, and frantic busyness? They only fill your calendar. Wealth responds to structure. It responds to leverage. It responds to patience. And it responds to positioning, knowing where to stand, when to act. And what moves multiply value instead of just motion. Think about it. You could spend every waking hour hustling and still stay in the same financial lane you started in. Or you could align your thinking first, build systems, and watch the same effort yield exponentially better results. Here's the kicker. Effort feels productive. The mindset feels invisible until suddenly it's explosive. Effort fills your calendar. The mindset builds your future. This is the hidden truth that most people miss. The rules of wealth aren't printed in textbooks. They're not discussed in classrooms, and they certainly aren't whispered in motivational quotes. The hidden rules of wealth are invisible only to those who refuse to question their beliefs. So here's your challenge. Stop accepting the default script. Stop thinking that working harder automatically equals earning more. Start thinking strategically. Question what you were taught. Build the structures, leverage, and habits that turn effort into real, lasting wealth. Because when you finally see it, the game changes. And suddenly, the path you thought was blocked feels wide open.